Okay, so I cleaned up the carbon resistor holder with the crud cutter, and I do have a little tube brush or bottle brush that I got in there and scrubbed it out pretty good. And I went through all of my carbons, and there's 51 thin discs plus the thicker discs for 52. And on this stack I had a partially broken one and one that's kind of, can you see those? One that was cracked clean in half, and one that had about 20% of the edge gone. So I eliminated both of those from this side and took one from here over to here. So I have 50 on each side plus the thick ones now. So now that this is all clean and dry, I'm just going to pick one of these sides and start, putting it back together. And the trick with this is when you put them in, you've got to be sure that they lay flat, especially that thicker one, and you can't always see it very good down in there, so it's kind of hard to tell. I've stuck the wooden stick in there. Let's see, where's one of my barbecue sticks here? Because if you don't get them all flat, of course when you get to the end you're not going to have room for them all, and then you're going to have to dump them all out and start over. So when you look through this from this end towards what I would call the front end, you can see the hole where the screws go, and you can see a little bit of daylight. And if you lay that first one flat, it'll feel flat and you won't see any daylight. And that's about the best advice I can give you for that. And we're just going to start putting them in one or two at a time, and after every 3 or 4 I'm just going to check them with something to make sure that they feel flat. Usually the thicker one is the problem, but not always. I got about 3 in there. So you can see this is a tedious, putting these all back together. But I guess I won't make you watch me do all 100. But hopefully you're getting the idea here. And what if I finish up this one side and then show you how to put the end piece and bracket and screw back on? Then I think you'll, otherwise you don't need to see me keep doing this, I don't think. So let me finish up the stack, and then I'll show you how to fasten everything up on one side. Alright, so I have my 50 pieces back in this side, and you can see now it's almost full to the top of the tube. And so what I want to do is drop the contact piece in there with the kind of rounded end up, and make sure that it sits in that depressed area like that. Then I'm going to put this gloves, Then I'm going to put this retaining clip over that rounded dome, and you can see you see it in there? Yeah, you can kind of see it in there. So if I hold that clip over the screw hole, that'll hold my carbon stack in here, I take one of those long skinny screws and drop it in, and I just felt it hit against that retainer. So now I gotta fool around and see if I can line up that screw with the screw hole. I feel the screw poking through that clip, so I got lucky there. So I want to snug this up nice, and now I've got it screwed in. I think you can see the tip of the screw is protruding right there. So I've got that carbon stack back together properly, right? And now I'm going to do the other carbon stack on the other side. Then my carbon resistor will be all dusted off. I've removed the broken and cracked pieces. I've got equal amount, or I will have equal amounts of the carbon disc on each side, and it'll be all reassembled. And while I sprayed this and let it soak in the sink to clean it, I pulled out my cord from my vinegar and water solution and rinsed it off real well and just kind of damp dried it with a towel, and I'm letting it air out. So I want to go back and see if that got rid of that musty stinky smell. So I won't make you watch the reassembly of this side, but it's basically I'm going to put the 50 carbons back in there. Then I'll put the end piece, and remember, when you go to put these back, you always put that extra thick carbon goes in first. And I can see no daylight. Let me feel it around here. Yeah, it feels nice and flat. So I'll put those other 50 in there. Then I'll put the connector on there, the contact, and I'll lay the retaining clip over it, hold it in place with my finger while I flip it over and put the other screw in. So that's what I'll be doing. So I've got everything cleaned off now, and hopefully the cord will be sweet. And then in the next video I'll be reassembling these parts, and we'll be adjusting them. And here's, by the way, here's the rubber. See how bad they look now? But we're going to put a little oil on there, or petroleum jelly, to seal them, and they will look good. See how that's kind of discolored from the oxidation and stuff? But if we get some oil or some sealant on there, they're going to look just fine. And there's a lot of life left in them. See, they're still supple and fairly soft, you know. So I'm real happy with those. Get my other parts. So I'll go ahead and get this all reassembled like I said, and the next part, when you come back, we'll be putting it back together and adjusting it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and take care.